Well, after 503 days, Coventry City finally played a game in front of their own supporters. Away from home at Cheltenham Town at the Johnny Rock Stadium in a pre-season friendly, a complete contrast from the 1-0 win at Portman Road on the 7th of March 2020. Now, I was going to record this a few weeks ago when we were supposed to be playing Leamington in our first game in front of a crowd, which ended up being an under-23s game due to COVID restrictions and things like that. But it was great to see the Sky Blues first of all before we get into this match review, because I just want to say on a personal level, when the players came out, when we sung the songs, I had a smile on my face pretty much the whole time. Bar the result as well. I mean, look, it's a pre-season friendly. I always hear every single year the comparison of this year we won the FA Cup. We lost every single friendly, but we're most likely not going to win the FA Cup this year. But that's just a comparison. Results do not matter. However, I think it is only right that I do a little bit of review, not only on the match, I talk about every single player, how I felt about them, because, look, you don't realise this, and I don't know whether fans have realised this as much. I'd never once really seen Coventry City on the TV. I'd never had a real point to, maybe the odd away game when I was younger, but I was always at the game. Once COVID happened, once things started to restrict us from going to games, and the only way we were able to watch the Sky Blues was on the television. However, just watching the game live actually changed my perspective on a couple of the players. Just looking at the squad yesterday, there's quite a few players that have played for us for pretty much a full season now. The likes of Gus Hamer, Julian Da Costa, Tyler Walker, who had never actually played in front of the Sky Blues crowd before. So obviously, looking at the side that we put out yesterday, we had quite a few substitutes, a few lads that I don't think had actually ever played for the first team before, likes of Blaine Rowe and Ryan Howley. So it was good to see them. As well as that, the first team for me, like looking at that, it looked like he was going for the typical 5 at the back, which won us League One, but it's a weird one, because 5 at the back in League One worked when we were the best side in that league and a lot of teams were struggling to score against us. But when it comes to the Championship and you're coming up against tougher teams, better quality players, maybe you need another midfield or another attacking option. Obviously, it's a friendly, and some people have this kind of idea that it's all about fitness when it isn't. I can see what Robbins did yesterday. He changed the team around, he was experimenting, and I think he wanted to see if the 5 at the back would work. And looking at it, I was a bit confused on why McFadzean didn't start. But at the same time, I understand that he wanted to have a look at the trialist, who was Rocky Bashiri from Norwich City. And first of all, I'm going to talk about pretty much all of our players and talk about the standouts. But I do want to talk about the trialist first. Now, I've heard Robbins is going to continue looking at him, which I agree with. He's only 21. And yesterday he looked very composed. He looked like he belonged in the side. He won every ball in the air. But at the same time, when you're coming up against League One opposition, a team that won League Two last season, I'm not going to sit here and slander Cheltenham, because I think they're going to have a good season next year. Their goalkeeper, first of all, stood out like a sore thumb. Like every good chance that we had, he just saved it. And I think there was one really good chance where Gyökeres ran down the left-hand side, played the ball into Waghorn when I even said, like, hit it, and he didn't. He played the ball to Waghorn. Waghorn could have put it easily into an empty net. He hits it first time. He does no mistake, but the goalkeeper still shifts and makes an excellent save. As well as that, we can't forget Andy Williams, who scored both of the goals for Cheltenham. The first one coming from a cross from the right-hand side, which actually ended up in Josh Pass being injured. Pass was marking Williams and he just pulled up short by the looks of things as Williams put the ball past Simon Moore. So the first half, this was mainly the team that played for the first 35-ish minutes when Pass came off injured after the goal. And look, the trialists looked great. Drysdale again looked solid, and it seemed like it was more of Pass pulling up injured and the ball going past Simon Moore, who I don't know whether we're going to see much of Ben Wilson. I'd like to. I'm still a little bit undecided on who is, for me, the better goalkeeper. Obviously, people will have opinions, but after seeing Ben Wilson last season, especially in the rear end of it, he was fantastic, made some great saves, played really well in some of the games, and he actually furthered himself from Marco Morosi, who'd been a first-team starter just for over a season and a half then. So seeing more come straight into the team. He played a full 90 minutes over Ben Wilson. I don't know whether we're going to play Wilson against Mansfield and we're going to play Moore against Cheltenham, and then whatever we're going to do against Wolves. I'd like to see a solid team against Wolves. I'd like that to be our first team, obviously, just to kind of not save embarrassment as of such, but just to have an entertaining first game back at the CBS Arena and hopefully get a result. Like, I'd like to see maybe even a draw. You know, Wolves have got a solid team, good midfield with the likes of Moutinho and Neves, but I'd like to see us really try and win that game. Obviously, you go into every game trying to win, and yesterday I did see the effort from a lot of the lads. But I'd like us to be able to compete against the Premier League side. Anyway, back on to what I was saying. So, look, I'd like to see Ben Wilson play, and Simon Moore yesterday, he was okay, he was solid, he made some good saves, and I'm not going to doubt him. I know he conceded 2 goals, which a lot of fans who didn't watch the game could sit there and say, oh, I think we should play Wilson, but at the same time, it is just, you've got to look as well. Look, Simon Moore hasn't really been playing first team for quite a while. So these players are going to want to adjust and adapt, and hopefully we'll be able to see who is the distinguished better goalkeeper. So right now, for me, I'm not going to talk too much about the goalkeepers, but on to the 5 at the back. So I'd just like to quickly comment on Josh Reed when it comes to the back 5. I think he was the standout in defence of anyone. And this isn't me putting a damper on Dabo or Drysdale or anyone else, McFadzean. Josh Reed was fantastic yesterday. I think after maybe half an hour, I think he got a bit of a knock, but he carried on. He played well on the left-hand side. I would still like to see a left-back come in, maybe on loan, especially that lad from Chelsea that we're looking at. And this isn't me saying don't use Josh Reed like what happened to Brandon Mason, and we were literally playing McCallum every week. But Josh Reed would still be solid. Not every single game. I couldn't see him playing every single game yet. But in a season or two, if he's a first team starter, I wouldn't be surprised. As well as Drysdale, to be fair. He was solid as well yesterday. So defensively, I thought we were quite good. Pass coming off was a little bit of a damper. I didn't think he did too much. But him having to come off, McFadzean coming on around half an hour in, a little bit concerning. Especially with Rose and Hyam both out. I think we definitely need them back in as soon as possible because, you know, being off with COVID is not great, and having just more options in defence, as well as if we are looking at another defender and we maybe do bring in this trialist, I think we'll be okay defensively. And conceding 2 goals, look, it's only a friendly, like I said, the results don't matter, but we've got a bit of work to do in defence. Midfield-wise, Ben Sheaf impressed me a lot more than I thought. Like I said at the start of the video, seeing the games live does change things, and I mean that was the case for Ben Sheaf. Watching him on the TV, him not starting, especially come the rear end of last season, made me think maybe we won't sign Ben Sheaf, but he impressed me yesterday, and I hope I'm not wrong, and I hope I don't come back on here in a couple of months' time saying why is Ben Sheaf starting, he's not doing great. Jordan Shipley, was good to see him play as well yesterday. Gus Hamer, first time in front of the Sky Blues, and he had quite a few chances. And look, in the first half, I think we had a couple of chances, but we didn't really show our quality. Come the second half, players like Callum O'Hare, Gus Hamer, before we made the substitutes, were troubling the goalkeeper a little bit. But once we made the substitutes, I think we really showed that players like Gyökeres, players like Waghorn, Jody Jones even, will actually be key next season. So when Jody Jones came on, it was kind of a group substitution. There was like 3 or 4 substitutes being made at once. And I remember when Jody Jones come on, I looked at him and thought he's bulked up quite a bit, and he was solid. I think there was one time in the game where, I know this is totally off topic, but Hamer was on the attack and their defender got barged off by him twice on the same attack. And that just shows it doesn't matter how tall you are. As long as you're strong, you can hold yourself up on the ball. You can do really well. And to be fair, Jody Jones held himself up quite well yesterday, which was really good. Jody came on around about 55 minutes in, along with Gyökeres, Allen and Waghorn. And, I mean, Jamie Allen, for me, I know it looks like he's going to Rotherham. I think that's who they're looking at. But he doesn't really stand out along with Gus Hamer, Ben Sheaf, Callum O'Hare. It's a shame because he had a lot of potential in League One. He started the season injured and we didn't really see much of him. And as I say, I hope I'm wrong and I hope he does become a great player. But him going to Rotherham, I think that would then help us bring in another player, or maybe just get another player off our books and have the wages for maybe a new signing in defence or a left back. So Jamie Allen, really, I didn't really see much of him yesterday. But another midfielder who was by far, for me, the biggest shock, Ryan Howley. He only played around about 10 minutes, but he had a few good chances. I think he even had a shot on goal, or it might have just gone over, but he was good in midfield. He knocked the ball around really well. So I think he's another player, a little bit like Wilbur Parker as well. I think I've said it about Wilbur Parker on multiple occasions. Maybe send him out on loan for the season, see how he does. Because we've seen it with Josh Eccles when he's come back. I know he's off with COVID at the moment. But the rear end of last season, Josh Eccles was a standout player in midfield because no one expected him to be as good. We brought him back in after a loan spell at Gillingham and he was fantastic. So again, Ryan Howley, a lot of potential there. One last thing I'd like to speak about when it comes to the team is Martin Waghorn. He took every set piece when he came on, corners, free kicks. I think he's going to be a solid player next season. 10-11 goals, I'll be happy with that, especially because look, Derby paid like quite a few million for him, and we've got him on a free transfer, and it's just great to see him in a sky blue shirt. Gyökeres as well, he impressed me a lot more than I expected, and I don't know, I think our attacking options at the moment are a lot better than what we had last season. We've swapped Bakayoko and Biamu, who, by the way, were my two favourite players, for Martin Waghorn. Jody Jones coming back, Gyökeres on a full-time deal. So I'm quite excited for next season. Obviously, we've got the friendly on Tuesday night against Mansfield Town, which I'll be going to, probably doing a little bit of a review on that as well. But I thought I would give a more in-depth look at some of the players yesterday. I don't really want to talk too much about the game. I thought we were okay in spells, especially the second half. I thought the first 20 minutes of the second half, we had some really exciting attacks when the substitutes were made. So the first 10 minutes of the second half was quite dull, but once the substitutes came on, Jody, Gyökeres, Waghorn, O'Hare, all looked fantastic. And for me, I'm just going to be perfectly honest, I do believe that we will stay up next season, and with the team that we've got, I think we can maybe go on a good cup run. I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and predict where we will finish, but we have a lot of exciting players, especially in attack. I mean, I'm looking at it now and I don't know what we're going to do with our attacking options. Gyökeres and Waghorn together seem like fantastic. With Jones on the wing, I mean, I know he's never played a championship game in his career, but he's a player who came with us with a lot of potential from Dagenham and Redbridge. And obviously he's been very, very unlucky with injuries, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that this is the time when we start to see Jody Jones push on. Because look, do you remember that season in League 2 where we first saw Jody Jones kick on? Obviously we'd had that season in League 1 under about 27 different managers, but we'd been relegated to League 2, and the first, I think, really quarter of the season, Jody Jones for me was our standout player up until when he got injured, and after that he's been quite unlucky. But I think if he has a good season next year, stays away from injuries, I honestly do think he will be a standout player, which is great. And look, I know we've only really seen him for 35 minutes in a friendly, but you can't really damper his quality as a player. And like I've already commented, Gyökeres, again, for me, fantastic. Waghorn, again. So I'm very optimistic with our attacking options. I'd like us to make a couple more signings. And again, we've got 3 more friendlies. We've got Mansfield on Tuesday, Norwich on Wednesday, and then we've got Wolves next Sunday, all before our Forest game. And then we've got a cup game against Northampton, which again, I wouldn't really see us starting our first team. I don't know. Looking at that, I don't know whether we've got ambitions to go on a cup run. Northampton at home, things should be in our favour. But look, I'm excited for the new season. I hope you are too. And this is it for this little review on our friendly against Cheltenham. I know it wasn't our most exciting game. I mean, I'm not being funny. I think we all expected this big game to come back to after 500 plus days, and it was an away trip to one of my least favourite grounds in a friendly. But look, I'm happy we're back, Sky Blues fans, and look, I hope we never ever have to go and watch another game on iFollow, because honestly, it's just not the same, is it, with Clive mispronouncing the players' names, etc. But that's that for this video. If you have enjoyed, do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys after the Mansfield game on Tuesday.